Right now, warmer weather is on the way, but first we're talking snow. Chris is tracking more flakes and a work week warm-up. Plus, tomorrow is tax day, and the IRS says a record number of Americans will not file on time this year.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now this morning.
Good morning. It's 6:30 on April 14th. I'm Maddie O'Neill in for Josh this morning, joined by meteorologist Chris Reese. What is this about snow I'm hearing?
Yeah, well, the rumors are true. There is a possibility of some snow, but I do think in Madison we're going to luck out with most of this being towards our south and east. Weather track right now already starting to show that first round of snow moving into the picture. A lot of that south of the border at the moment, but we're gradually going to watch the system move towards the north. Here's a bigger picture. A lot of cloud cover over our area. There was a little bit of sun on my drive into work, but that cloud cover quickly obscured that. And the overall region of low pressure is still pretty far south on its track towards the eastern Great Lakes. But as that does so, I do think that's going to open the possibility for us to see some snowflakes, especially given that those temperatures are down near the freezing mark for a lot of spots here in south central Wisconsin. A couple of folks above freezing, but I do think the upper air is cold enough that we should all see snow fall, but that will limit any accumulation. It's not going to be much at all. Winds coming out of the northeast ahead of the system. Here's how things should play out for us. We'll see that snow moving northward. We could see a few flakes here in the Madison area, but most of that is going to be east of us as we go throughout the day, Maddie.
So a little different from last weekend.
A little different from last weekend, but I think next weekend is going to be a totally different story as well.
Okay, thank you, Chris.
Anytime.
Just into the Channel 3000 Alert Center, Fitchburg police are investigating after shots were fired in the 2300 block of Traceway Drive overnight. They say it happened just before 2:45 this morning. When they got on scene, they found a group of people breaking up and a number of shell casings in the parking lot. No one was injured, and police aren't releasing any suspect information right now. Madison's mayor-elect Satya Rhodes-Kanye is preparing to take office this week. She'll officially be sworn in on Tuesday. Also this week, her office will release a letter with budget instructions for departments like fire and police. The mayor-elect has previously said the Madison Fire Department could benefit from an additional ambulance, and that's something she will consider. An alder on Madison's far east side told us fire response times have been a growing issue in his district, where there are neighborhoods with up to 20-minute response times. Rhodes-Conway says it's premature to say whether the fire or police departments will get more funding, but she's looking forward to reading their proposals.
It's actually really important to me that I have a good relationship with both departments, but even more important, and one of the reasons that I wanted to come out here today, is to thank the folks, the firefighters, that are keeping our city safe.
The incoming mayor is asking departments like police and fire to describe how their goals align with Imagine Madison, the city's comprehensive plan. In Rock County, the crime rate in the city of Janesville has reached its second lowest point in the last 20 years. Police Chief David Moore says some of his concerns include 14 heroin deaths in 2018 and 1 homicide. While he says these drops in numbers might be a result of increases in preventative policing, he says that prevention takes more than just the efforts of officers on duty.
Janesville is a safe community. Our entire community is committed to those types of activities that lower a crime rate. It's not just the police department. It's our entire community, and everybody is working well together to push down that crime rate.
Moore says the department plans to continue investing in preventative police measures to reduce crimes such as domestic violence. We're hoping to learn more this week about Foxconn's plans to make a home in downtown Madison. The company announced its plan to buy the BMO Harris Bank building on West Main Street along the Capitol Square this week. They still haven't officially closed the deal, but both companies say they are confident a deal will be made soon. But Foxconn's plans have raised some questions from a lot of people who are eyeing the progress. Some say the buildings that the company has already bought in other parts of the state are empty and have been that way for a while. Others raise the question of when things are going to materialize.
I appreciate you worrying about these empty buildings. I can assure you they are not empty, but we also don't want people to climb up on trees and look over to make sure that we have occupancy. We don't actually make an effort to acquire buildings to leave them empty. We do have a plan. We actually would make sure that the buildings is adequate and well equipped before we move people in.
Dr. Young also said more details will be coming in the next couple months to a year or so. Tomorrow is a tax day, and a record number of people are expected to file for an extension with the IRS. Another 8 million business owners will likely do the same. A lot of that has to do with confusion about the new tax law and what that means for deductions. Even accountants say the guidance from the IRS can be hundreds of pages long, which can just lead to more questions. You either need to file your taxes or file for an extension by tomorrow, April 15th. In other consumer news, new numbers say while millennials make up the largest generation in the U.S. workforce, they're earning 20% less than baby boomers did at their same age. But there is a bit of good news for millennials here. Wallet Hub reports Wisconsin is the 5th best state for people in that age group to live and work in. The study looked at everything from home ownership rates to rates of depression. Wisconsin ranks 6th for quality of life and 3rd for civic engagement in the country. Massachusetts came in 1st on the list, Washington, D.C. 2nd, and West Virginia ranked the worst state for millennials. An East Side restaurant is warning people about food safety this morning after some discarded food ended up on the sidewalk, saying it was free for the taking. The co-owner of Bonzo says those 7 pails of tossed tahini were taken from a dumpster behind its prep kitchen on Willie Street and placed along the sidewalk a few blocks away. A note on one of the pails says divvy up and share with friends. But the owners want people to know that food was thrown out for a reason.
We pride ourselves on not throwing out food. It really pains us to see that. So when it does end up getting thrown out, it's for a good reason.
Aaron Collins says the tahini was not safe for consumption, and the restaurant donates unused food that is safe to eat to local shelters and food pantries. A nonprofit here in Wisconsin will soon be the nation's first peer-run respite home for veterans. Wisconsin Public Radio reports that Mental Health America of Wisconsin will use a $300,000 startup grant from the state's Department of Health Services to open this resource. The community-based nonprofit is planning to open a location in the Milwaukee area. It would be open to all Wisconsin veterans free of charge, and those vets could stay anywhere from 1 to 5 nights. The home will not provide clinical services, but they will be trained in peer and veteran-specific support along with PTSD recovery and suicide prevention. The organization is still looking for a location, so there's no timeline on when the facility will be open. Comfy chairs and warm chocolate chip cookies could be once again taking off from Milwaukee by next year, as Midwest Express Airlines takes the next step toward getting back up and running. The company announced it has leased space for a new corporate headquarters at Mitchell Airport. The Milwaukee-based airline began operations back in 1984, but it was purchased by Frontier Airlines in 2010, in part because of rising oil prices. A new study finds that more than 1,000 bridges in Wisconsin are structurally deficient. While most of those are in Milwaukee, there are several here in our area that are traveled on by more than 20,000 people per day. The DOT says while these bridges are safe to cross for now, there is work being done to fix problems on each bridge.
All bridges are inspected at least every 2 years, and when a condition issue is identified that might move it into structurally deficient, it is inspected on a more frequent basis, perhaps yearly or more frequent, depending on the assessment of the inspector and the bridge engineers.
If you're curious about structurally deficient bridges in your area, a link to view that list is on channel3000.com. The county's working on its latest plan to keep your neighborhood safe from the types of flooding we saw last summer. crews will start dredging a section of the Yahara River between Lake Monona and Wabeesa. It's a $23 million project that will help get water flowing a little smoother. Right now, the county says water comes into the Yahara chain faster than it comes out. 2 inches of rain can take 2 weeks or more to flow out. Getting rid of all the sediment below the water should help with that problem. That project's just getting started. It'll take place over the next several years in phases. More local news now as the anticipation builds for Madison's first pro soccer team. There's a new partnership to keep your head warm during early season games and help kids with cancer. Forward FC has teamed up with Love Your Melon, a company based in the Twin Cities that donates some of its profits to fight pediatric cancer. Fans can get a limited edition Forward FC beanie and a ticket to the season home opener for $43. We'll have that link to that deal on our News 3 Now Facebook page. The Bucks start their long trek toward the NBA Finals today, hoping to get past the first round of the playoffs for the first time in almost 20 years. The team's coming off a loss to Oklahoma City to end the season, still with the best record in the entire league and a top seed in the Eastern Conference. Giannis Antetokounmpo has been out with some injury concerns toward the end of the season, but he is expected to start in the playoffs. The Bucks' opponent, the Detroit Pistons, were 41-41 this season and finished 8th in the conference. They clinched that spot with a win over the Knicks Wednesday night. This is a best-of-7 series to advance to the next round. Game 1 against the Pistons is at home in the Fiserv Forum. Tip-off is at 6 p.m. tonight. Game 2 will also be played in Milwaukee on Wednesday, starting at 7 p.m. The next 2 games will be in Detroit. Then they'll go back and forth until one team wins 4. The winner of the series will face the Pacers or the Celtics. This morning on For the Record, Mark Kane sits down with the vice president of the Milwaukee Bucks to talk about playoff excitement and to look ahead to the Democratic National Convention coming to the Fiserv Forum. Senior Vice President of the Bucks, Alex Lasry, explains what the DNC committee liked the most when they visited Milwaukee.
One, they said, like, this is probably the nicest arena that we've seen around. But I think really what they loved was the, how compact the city was, especially the downtown, how easy it is to navigate. When they came in August, the weather was great. They loved also, I think, really the local restaurant scene. And I think what they really are looking for is, for 4 days, people are living here. And even before that, staff is coming in to live here. And I think what they were able to see was this is a place that people are going to be happy.
If you're planning to pick up tickets to a playoff game, be mindful of where you go to find deals on tickets. The Better Business Bureau is warning about scammers putting out low-cost tickets online. The organization says the scams are pretty easy to spot with prices that are too good to be true, third-party sellers with no guarantees, or phony websites. The BBB recommends buying tickets from the Milwaukee Bucks official website. If you are using an outside seller, you can check the website's credibility on bbb.org. After a breezy but sunny Saturday, the winds are blowing in cooler weather and snow chances. Here's a live look outside. Chris has your full first alert forecast next.
Well, the clouds have rolled back in this morning, and we are talking snow chances, but perhaps this could be the last time that we begin to talk about that as we head into some warmer weather that is going to be coming our way. Talking about conditions right now, at least, things are right around the freezing mark. A lot of clouds out there as well. That's ahead of this next system that's moving in. Now, some folks are above freezing, though the upper atmosphere is still cold enough that we really should support all snow coming down. But even still, with the ground being above freezing, I think that would limit anything that truly has the potential to stick. Winds are coming out of the north and east. We're going to see those winds staying out of the north and east and actually intensifying some into the afternoon. So things are going to get a little bit breezy as we go through the next couple of hours. And then eventually those winds actually change direction and begin to relax for us as we head into Monday. That change in wind direction is actually going to be the passing of a system that is going to come through. Already we're starting to see some snow creep north towards that border in the southeastern parts of the state. Places like Racine and Kenosha counties will likely be some of the first ones to see any flakes of snow. But here's that system overall gradually starting to work its way towards the north. A lot of that snow back towards the south and west. That's what's going to work north later on. Eventually, this system will actually bring some additional severe weather to parts of the Appalachian Mountains. But here's that whole region of low pressure gradually working its way towards the north and east, bringing that chance for precipitation with it. So here's how things will play out right around 9 to 10 o'clock. That's when I do think we'll start to see the first implications of snow across the southeastern tier of the state. It's possible that some of that creeps as far north and west as Madison, but I don't think any of that will stick as this moves on out of the area rather quickly later on this afternoon and evening. As far as how much snow we'll see, I think this lines up really well with our forecast as well on this model of most of that being south and east of here. Again, that's where they could see as much as 1 to 3 inches again on grassy surfaces. Here in the Madison area, we really shouldn't see much of anything at all. But what we will see after this cold air begins to move on out is a warm up by midweek. We're talking temperatures that are going to be returning into the 60s and perhaps middle and upper 60s by the time we get you towards Easter Sunday. The egg on the wrong day there. I've got to move that over. But things are certainly getting better in the weather department for us.
It looks better. All right. Thanks
yes,
so
it
much,
does.
Chris.
My pleasure.
An international social media movement has made its way to Madison this weekend, and a woman is new to town is using it to help make our city a better place to live. Anastasia Gunn recently moved here from Florida. She noticed a lot of people using the Southwest bike path, and it shows in the amount of trash you can find along it. Now she's using an online trend called the trash tag movement to help clean it up for commuters. If you search the hashtag trash tag, you'll find a lot of people doing it around the world. The movement encourages people to take a picture of litter and then another of the same spot once you remove that garbage.
I take this path multiple times a week and I just noticed all the trash, and I was kind of waiting around for someone to do something about it, and no one ever really did.
Others are joining her efforts since she posted about it on Reddit. Anastasia says she's picked up 24 bags of trash just last week. And we hope you made time to hit the Farmers Market Saturday. The Madison Classic returned to the square from the spring to the fall. 270 producers from around the state will take turns setting up on the Capitol Square. While there is an indoor event during the winter, farmers and other vendors said they're happy to see the outdoor markets return.
The beginning of the season, we have something to look forward to. Everything's going to get warmer, more people are going to come out. You know, there's still not as many vendors yet, but soon there's going to be the asparagus and the strawberries, and we're on the up and up. Everything gets beautiful from here.
Madison's market is the country's largest producer-only farmers market and will be back next Saturday. Well, it is 6:50 in the morning. Just ahead, the face of TV is changing. What you need to know about Disney's new streaming service, and is YouTube TV actually worth it? But first, a community is rallying around a man fighting cancer. The feel-good story of the morning is just ahead. Thanks for watching News 3 Now this morning.
The rumors are true. There is a little bit of snow moving towards southeastern Wisconsin as we go through the day, though there's a chance most of that will stay south and east of Madison. Here's Doppler track just showing you where some of that is as we speak. We zoom things out across the upper Midwest, and you see the overall line of snow going back towards the south and west across parts of Missouri as well. So we'll watch that as we go throughout the day. In the meantime, those temperatures are right around the freezing mark, if not just above or just below. We'll keep those temperatures warming up just a tad bit as we go throughout the day. Most of that snow will be, again, south and east of Madison, though it's possible to see a few flakes here, especially if you live on the eastern side of Dane County. That moves out of here as we go towards the evening. From there, we're watching a warm up this week, but also a little bit more unsettled weather by the time we get you towards Tuesday and into Wednesday. That's where showers and thunderstorms will be possible throughout the week's end. Maddie?
All right, thank you, Chris. When you think of biker, many of us think tough. But when one Rock County woman put out a call for support online, hundreds showed up wearing their hearts on their sleeves to show a family love. Our Adam Duxter reports.
With the rev of the engine, it was finally time for the moment Miranda Olson and her family have been waiting for.
I didn't really sleep much last night, just because it's kind of like the night before Christmas. You're excited, you're nervous.
Hundreds of bikers from across the country, all there to support someone they have never met.
I've had contacts, Minnesota, Florida, Indiana.
That someone, Miranda's 19-year-old son, Zach. Zach has a rare type of brain cancer. It's incurable.
We were told to enjoy our time, and he's now on hospice, and probably the last couple weeks have really been the toughest.
Zach grew up loving motorcycles, and in March, his mom, Miranda, put out a request for Zach's last wish. He wanted to spend a day with as many as possible. Today is that day.
We sort of just said, yeah, we'll be involved. We'll go on the ride. We'll help out where needed. So, you know, that's how we're here.
And riders from across the Midwest,
we came all the way from Chicago for you, man,
went more than the extra mile to grant Zach's wish.
It was roughly 400 miles.
Surprising him with gifts like a custom vest and surrounding him with love.
We're all brothers. You know, you get outlaws, Hells Angels. We all have one thing in common. We want to support the community of cancer awareness.
And while he looks up to them,
all right, ready for a picture? Yeah.
They look up to him too.
I mean, that's a fighter right there. You know, I don't know what I would do if I was in his position, if I would just give up.
And after months of sad tears,
love you.
Today,
tears of happiness.
One last wish come true.
Overwhelming, but our hearts are full. We're happy. It's absolutely amazing.
After a rough week, Zach's family says this is one moment they'll never forget. Now there's a full hour of news ahead on News 3 this morning, Sunday, and then be sure to stay tuned for the Masters. With the weather conditions expected to be bad for golf, the pros will be playing in threes starting immediately after News 3 Now this morning. Coverage is scheduled from 8 a.m. until 1 p.m. right here on WISC-TV. Right now, you only have 1 day left to get your taxes filed, and you might be one of the millions of Americans who are getting a surprise this tax season.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now this morning.
Good morning. It's 7 o'clock on April 14th. I'm Maddie O'Neill in for Josh this morning. Now we'll get a check on weather with Chris in just a second, but first let's get you caught up on today's headlines. Madison's mayor-elect Satya Rhodes-Conway is preparing to take office this week. She'll be officially sworn in on Tuesday. Also this week, her office will release a letter with budget instructions for departments like fire and police. The mayor-elect has previously said the Madison Fire Department could benefit from an additional ambulance, and that's something she will consider. An alder on Madison's far east side told us fire response times have been a growing issue in his district, where there are neighborhoods with up to 20-minute response times. If you're planning to pick up tickets to a Bucks playoff game, be mindful of where you go to find deals on tickets. The Better Business Bureau is warning about scammers putting out low-cost tickets online. The organization says the scams are pretty easy to spot with prices that are too good to be true. Third-party sellers with no guarantees or phony websites. The BBB recommends buying tickets from the Milwaukee Bucks official website. If you are using an outside seller, you can check the website's credibility on bbb.org. New numbers say while millennials make up the largest generation in the U.S. workforce, they're earning 20% less than baby boomers did at their same age. But there is a bit of good news for millennials here. Wallet Hub reports Wisconsin is the 5th best state for people in that age group to live and work in. The study looked at everything from home ownership to rates of depression. Wisconsin ranks 6th for quality of life and 3rd for civic engagement in the country. Now we'll turn it over to Chris, who says we may be getting snow, but maybe the last of the year finally.
Perhaps. We are all keeping our eyes on this system that is tracking across the Ohio River Valley as we speak. This spawned the severe weather in the deep south last night, but it's gradually working its way north. As it does so, it's catching up with some colder air. So you see that snow starting to develop on the northern side of that. We're going to be keeping our eye on that, of course, here in Wisconsin. Most of that to the south of us at the moment, but as we go through time, this will gradually trend northward and spread some snow into south and eastern parts of the state. Outside of the snow, you will at least see the cloud cover. In the meantime, those temperatures are just above the freezing mark. This should limit any snow that does fall from truly being able to accumulate. The ground is pretty warm as well. 32 in Juneau, Janesville at 36. But the upper atmosphere is cold enough that I do still think it will be cold enough to support snow to actually fall out of the clouds should precipitation begin to fall. In the meantime, winds are coming out of the northeast at 10 miles per hour. We'll see that snow starting to move in earlier on before moving out by the time we get you towards the evening. Maddie?
All right, thank you, Chris. In political news this morning, 3 months on the job, and the governor has a 47% job approval rating. That's according to the latest Marquette Law School poll released this week. Overall, the poll shows Wisconsin residents are supportive of most of his plans, but 57% oppose a plan to raise the gas tax to pay for roads and highways. In terms of the presidential 2020 outlook, 42% say they either will definitely or probably vote to re-elect President Donald Trump, but 54% say they'll definitely or probably pick someone else. And when it comes to those Democratic candidates, 32% say they'd vote for Bernie Sanders and 29% for Joe Biden. Senators Elizabeth Warren, Kamala Harris, and former Congressman Beto O'Rourke were the only other candidates to make double digits in the crowded Democratic field. A new state Supreme Court justice will be sworn in August after his opponent conceded the race more than a week after the election. Judge Lisa Neubauer released a statement this week saying she had called Judge Brian Hagedorn and wished him the best, adding she hopes he keeps partisan influences out of the court. The two were separated by half a percentage point, or about 6,000 votes. With that margin, Neubauer could have called for a recount, but her campaign would have had to pay for it. The results mean conservative-leaning judges will have a majority on Wisconsin's highest court for at least the next few years. In McFarland, Village President Brad Saboter will get started on a strategic planning process after election results were triple checked, showing he's the winner. That's after the Municipal Board of Canvassers opened an absentee ballot that was recently discovered. It had the potential to change the election results as the race for village president came down to just one vote. The ballot was cast for incumbent Sue Boder, meaning he actually defeated his challenger, Carolyn Clow, by 2 votes. In Washington, the Pentagon's controversial policy banning transgender recruits from joining the military is now in effect. The Defense Department says the new policy does not affect transgender troops currently serving in the armed forces, a contention that's strongly denied by advocates. The ban blocks individuals from joining who have been diagnosed with gender dysphoria. Transgender individuals can serve, but only if they meet the standards of the sex they were assigned at birth. Faster internet and cell phone service could be a step closer to reality after an announcement this week at the White House. President Trump announced new steps that he says will allow America to win the race to 5G. The president was joined by the head of Federal Communications Commission. The agency is auctioning off 5G spectrum airwaves to phone providers in December and creating a nearly $20 billion fund to expand high-speed broadband in rural areas.
From precision agriculture to smart transportation networks to telemedicine and more. We want Americans to be the first to benefit from this new digital revolution.
The White House says 5G will give our phone speeds up to 100 times faster than current 4G networks. Phone providers like AT&T and Verizon already have new 5G towers set up in larger cities like Chicago and Minneapolis, and the first phones to carry 5G are now hitting the market. The Federal Trade Commission is warning people about a nationwide phone scam, raising concerns about Social Security numbers. Millions of people are receiving these calls. A caller claiming to be from the U.S. Social Security Administration told this man, Wayne Chertoff, that someone in El Paso, Texas, was using his name and Social Security number to send thousands of dollars to Mexico and Colombia. In order to get rid of what the caller claimed to be a warrant out for his arrest, the man was tricked into buying $1,400 worth of Google Play cards at the store and reading the numbers off the back to the caller. This scam has already cost 76,000 people $19 million over the past year. Well, tomorrow is tax day, and if you still haven't filed or gotten your refund, you might be one of the millions of Americans who are in for a surprise. Smaller refunds or no refund at all. Under the new tax law, 80% of Americans were expected to pay less in taxes overall, but that's not happening. Tony DeCouple reports.
We were getting to the point where, I wasn't dreading doing my taxes anymore because
Jason and Amber Edwards were counting on lower taxes and maybe even a refund in 2018.
I was a bit optimistic.
The college educators from Rhode Island had planned to put the extra money toward their newly adopted baby son.
Hi, buddy.
But when they filed their returns, they got a surprise. No refund, and the IRS said they owed thousands in additional taxes.
It became a huge shock because we had just started to get all the necessities for a baby. And then to turn around and suddenly have to write a $3,000 check, this was not the year for us to be doing that.
They're a good example of reality.
Jeffrey Levine is a certified public accountant in New York. Back in 2017, we asked him to review the Edwards tax returns and project their tax bill under the new law. Levine estimated a savings of about $650. And the segment was so popular with GOP lawmakers, even the president retweeted it. So, what happened?
They owe a lot more than they probably thought they would have given that increase in income because they experienced withholding changes like most of the American public.
Tax withholding is the money your employer pulls automatically from your paycheck and sends to the IRS. Under the new tax law, the withholding changed, giving people more money in each paycheck, but resulting in potentially larger bills at the end of the year.
Come on, buddy.
Like what happened to the Edwards.
I know a lot of people in this position where they thought, they were going to get money back and, their paychecks were a little bit more, but then they also wind up owing too. Well, then why did we even do it?
For people who got a surprise tax bill this year, Levine says there's only one way to avoid it.
You need to put more money in throughout the year, whether that's changing your withholdings to have more taken out of each paycheck, or perhaps paying estimated tax payments. That's up to you, but it's pay me now or pay me later, but you're going to pay one way or another.
Tony DeCopel, CBS News, New York.
Nationally, refunds are down $6 billion compared to last year, and 1.6 million fewer people are getting them. Now looking ahead, Disney is getting ready to take on Netflix and Amazon with a new streaming service. Disney Plus will offer a handful of new TV shows and new movies, including Captain Marvel, along with classics like Snow White. With the company's recent acquisition of Fox's entertainment business, National Geographic will also be available on the streaming service that's scheduled to launch in the U.S. on November 12th at a monthly price of $6.99. That's much cheaper than the new monthly rate for YouTube TV subscribers. The Google-owned company says it's hiking the price to $49.99 per month, a $10 increase. In a statement, YouTube says the change is needed to bring customers the best service possible. They'll be adding channels owned by cable network Discovery, as well as the Oprah Winfrey Network. We can't seem to catch a break after a roller coaster week of 70s and then snow. The bumpy ride weather-wise continues. Here's a live look outside. Chris is tracking your full First Alert forecast next.
Well, it is another active weather day across the country, and this time it will have a little bit of impact on us here in south central Wisconsin. Here's the overall system that we are watching. Severe weather expected across parts of the mid-Atlantic and the Appalachian Mountains. And then we are on the northern side where a little bit of colder air is getting wrapped up into the system. That's where we're actually starting to see a little bit in the way of some light snowfall. Most of that is south of the Illinois state line at the moment. We might see this trend northward just a little bit as we go through time. As you work your way east of Madison, right along 43 and 94, this is where you are going to have the best chance of seeing some snowflakes slide today. But don't be surprised if you see a couple flakes here in Madison as we go throughout the day. In the meantime, the temperature 33 degrees. Winds coming out of the north and northeast at 10 miles per hour. 34 in Lone Rock, same for Mineral Point. Platteville at 32 and Janesville at 36. And you're noticing a lot of these temperatures are above freezing, but still I do think the upper atmosphere is just cold enough that we're going to see snow come down if anything does fall out of the sky. I just don't think it's going to stick all that much. It's going to have some trouble with those ground temperatures being warm. In the meantime, here come those winds out of the north and east. Those are actually going to be picking up as we go throughout the morning and into the early afternoon. That's as that region of low pressure does get closer to us. Eventually, they change direction as we head into your Monday and finally begin to wind down for us somewhat. But here's how things ultimately are going to play out as you get towards about 10:30 from about Monroe up through Janesville towards just south of Sheboygan. That's where I think we'll start to see the first round of snowflakes flying. It's possible as we get you towards the early afternoon that we get just enough of a northward movement with that to see some flakes fly across the eastern side of Madison as you work your way out towards places like Mazomanie, Black Earth, Cross Plains, Mount Horeb. I don't think you're going to have the best shot at seeing any snow. So it's going to be a very sharp cutoff before that works its way on out of here as we move into the afternoon and evening. How much snow are we talking? Well, not a lot, although this model does a good job of picking up where I think the accumulating snow is going to be. I think it's a little overdone. Most folks will see about 1 to 3 inches of snow from that. But then from there, it is actually the warm up that we are going to see, along with some unsettled weather too. Temperatures returning into the 50s and 60s with some rain and storm chances from Tuesday through early on Friday.
All right. Well, we've been asking you to share your morning with us. Gwen Perner King posted this on Facebook, a picture of Rock River. Looks like the sun's rising there.
It does.
You can kind of see through the clouds.
Ice for just a moment.
Oh.
I was like, oh no.
Please no. Glad we're done with that. Thanks for sharing, Gwen. What does your morning look like? Take a picture and post it on the Channel 3000 Facebook page or on Twitter using the hashtag My News 3 Morning. We'll share our favorites right here on News 3 Now this morning.
Well, this weekend does mark the end of Tornado and Severe Weather Awareness Week. With tornado season officially upon us, many weather spotters and meteorologists gathered at Madison College for the Dark Skies Weather Seminar yesterday. Spotters identify and report severe weather to the National Weather Service. We learned more about severe weather spotting, preparedness, and the role of emergency management teams when disaster strikes.
We were just talking about tornadoes during the break.
Yeah, we were. And of course, here in Wisconsin, we average about 23 tornadoes per year, but some states just see a lot more. So we were talking about April 27th, 2011, where Alabama saw 147 tornadoes in just one day, but they were way more than just that all across the Deep South. And of course, they saw tornadoes yesterday in the South. They could see some more today. So severe weather season is truly getting started in the country.
It's here. All right. Thank you, Chris. More local news now.
1, 2, 3. How could I forget? You can sing too, John. Everybody sing!
Well, all good things must come to an end. Even Mike LeCrone's 50-year run as the director of the UW Band. Last night, he bid the Badger Band and fans farewell at the last of 3 spring concerts at the Kohl Center. At age 82, LeCrone will retire, but he will still lead the band at commencement next month. During the second half of the show, LeCrone flew in on a jetpack. News 3 Now's Susan Simon sat down with LeCrone earlier this week. You can find that story on our website, channel3000.com. And over at Camp Randall, this weekend's weather tested even the most dedicated of Badger fans. But no rain or snow was going to keep the diehards from checking out the new Badger squad. Of course, a lot of fans wanted to get a look at the quarterback battle, particularly the incumbent Jack Cohn against newbie Graham Mertz. Players said they appreciated the hundreds of fans that came to watch, especially as we get closer to the season.
Oh yeah, it gives everybody a little energy. Your family's here, your friends are here. So it just kind of raises the excitement level. It's nice to get some people out here. It kind of makes it feel more like a game. So yeah, it was fun.
It definitely feels good to have the people out here, you know, the fans and everything, you know, the kids running around and everything. You know, in practice we get used to just seeing the coaches on the sideline, so it's nice to have them out here.
The Badgers kick off their season against Central Michigan on September 7th at Camp Randall. Well, at 7:21, there are new recommendations about how often you should get a mammogram, but not everyone agrees on the findings. Plus, the startling effects of air pollution, how the growing problem not only impacts our environment, but can be deadly for us, too. The morning's top health stories are just ahead on News 3 Now this morning, Sunday. Topping this morning's health headlines, researchers on the UW campus are getting closer to a blood test for colon cancer. This is a big deal since it would add another method to help increase screening rates while decreasing overtreatment for one of the most common types of cancer and the third deadliest for men. Right now, a colonoscopy is the best test for the cancer. Exact Sciences, based here in Madison, also offers a take-home screening. This morning, there's more research to back up your good vibes after spending time outside. A new study says a 20-minute stroll in nature can help reduce stress. Researchers are calling it nature's pill. They had participants take a walk outside at least 3 times a week and found the stress hormone cortisol was cut by 10% on average. Experts are changing their recommendations when it comes to how often women should get mammograms. The age women should get screened for breast cancer and how often has been a topic of debate in recent years. The American College of Physicians says the majority of average risk women ages 50 to 74 would benefit from mammograms every other year instead of annually. They found no significant difference in breast cancer deaths with biennial screenings. Doctors say annual mammograms can sometimes do more harm than good, from false positive results to unnecessary biopsies and surgeries. Experts recommend having a conversation with your doctor.
In the end, this should be the woman's decision, and we should be trying to help women understand all the data and let women make the decision.
The American College of Radiology disagrees with the new guidance, saying it could result in thousands of unnecessary cancer deaths. But the American Cancer Society says it's not uncommon for recommendations to differ. New this morning, a study out in the National Academy of Sciences is linking air pollution to hundreds of thousands of deaths every year. That could be in the form of dirt, dust, soot, or smoke from coal and natural gas-fired plants, as well as cars, agriculture, construction, and wildfires. In 2011, the study linked air pollution exposure to 107,000 premature deaths. It also found pollution had cost the country $886 billion. There's a half hour of news still ahead here on News 3 Now this morning, Sunday. Next, we're running through this morning's top stories, including a preview of what's happening today at the final day of the Midwest Horse Fair. And after the break, our friend Charlotte DeLeste is introducing us to a kindergarten teacher who's focused on growing good humans. It's this month's top-notch teacher, and it's up next on News 3 Now this morning.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now this morning.
Good morning. It's 7:30 on April 14th. I'm Maddie O'Neill in for Josh. We'll get a check on weather with Chris in just a second, but first let's get you caught up on today's headlines. Madison's mayor-elect Satya Rhodes Conway is preparing to take office this week. She'll be officially sworn in on Tuesday. Also this week, her office will release a letter with budget instructions for departments like fire and police. The mayor-elect has previously said the Madison Fire Department could benefit from an additional ambulance, and that's something she will consider. An alder on Madison's Far East Side told us fire response times have been a growing issue in his district, where there are neighborhoods with up to 20-minute response times. Tomorrow is tax day, and a record number of people are expected to file for an extension with the IRS. Another 8 million business owners will likely do the same. A lot of that has to do with the confusion about the new tax law and what that means for deductions. Even accountants say the guidance from the IRS can be hundreds of pages long, which can lead to more questions. You either need to file your taxes or file for an extension by tomorrow, April 15th. And it's the final day of the largest 3-day horse fair in the country. The Midwest Horse Fair's director calls this the pick day of the bunch. Much of the traffic around the Alliant Energy Center is expected to clear, and you can catch fun competitions, shop at 300 vendors, and learn at seminars from a variety of professionals. The annual Midwest Horse Fair draws around 60,000 people to the Alliant Energy Center. It opens at 8 o'clock this morning. The last events begin at 4:30. Now we'll turn it over to Chris, who I think promised we might see the last snow.
No promises, but this could be the last snow of the season, as I'm seeing signs of warmth on the horizon. And of course, climatologically, it's about that time of the year that the snow begins to wind down. But we are tracking some starting to approach the Wisconsin border from the south as we speak. It's not in the state right now. Most temperatures are right around or just above freezing, though. So whatever snow falls, if any snow falls here in Madison area, I think that best chance is going to be east of here. But whatever snow falls is going to have a hard time truly sticking just because the ground is warm. But as we push forward through time, watch how the snow begins to work its way from the southeast and towards the north, again from Madison and points east. So if you live in places like Mazomanie, Black Earth, Mount Horeb, you may not see anything today, but then you go over towards places such as Marshall, Cambridge, out in eastern Dane County, and that's where you might actually see a little dusting of snow come on through. But that'll move out of here this evening. From there, attention actually begins to turn towards some more unsettled weather that'll move in towards the middle and end of the upcoming work week. I'll touch more on that in Maine weather, Maddie.
Okay, thank you, Chris. An area school is doing something good, bringing in a message from a successful artist with ties to Wisconsin. This is one of our favorite stories this week. Kindness is already a focus at Fort Atkinson's Luther Elementary School, where they say a new kindness team has really made a difference. As part of that initiative, Chesney Snow, a beatboxer, Broadway actor, and teaching artist, came in to share how students can use their voices to spread kindness and love, and how far that can take them in life.
What I try to do is to use the arts through storytelling, through beatboxing, in order to kind of empower them, to make them know that they can be geniuses at something.
If you didn't know what beatboxing was and you just came in here and saw him doing that, you'd probably be like, whoa.
All grade levels at the school got a chance to hear from Snow, who went to school in Platteville and will soon return to his now home of New York to prepare for a play. Kindergarten can be a fun, wild, and incredibly important time in your kids' lives. One teacher in our area says for her, it comes down to a simple goal, teaching those tykes to be good human beings. Charlotte DeLeste and photojournalist Kathy King spent a day in Monticello to introduce us to this month's top-notch teacher.
Dog McStuffins. Curious George. They have to learn how to read, to write, to do math. But most importantly, for me as a teacher, I want them to be great people. I think that sometimes that gets forgotten.
What Jess Goebel has never forgotten in her 9 years of teaching is to have fun. After all, this is kindergarten.
I get to be wacky and I get to be silly. And I think it just makes the day more fun, more relaxing, more enjoyable.
And the kids really respond well to all the singing and dancing in class, but there's only one thing that can top that.
Obviously, academics are important, but they always come secondary to growing people that are ready to go into the world.
Once a month, the kindergartners take a quick 10 to 15-minute bus ride out in the big, big world to America's little Switzerland.
We're obviously a lively bunch sometimes, so we get to bring some of that to New Glarus. Our friends should be there already, okay?
For 3 years now, Monticello kindergarten classes visit the folks at New Glarus Home, a retirement community. And there's never a lack of activities like playing cards.
1, 2, 3, flip the top card over.
Arts and crafts.
How do we want it to hang, like this?
And everyone's favorite, Play-Doh. Conversation is never dull.
Just admiring Timmy the turtle here?
That's Homer.
Oh, Homer.
And the learning continues.
Tell them where your dad used to go.
My dad used to go in Thailand.
To Thailand.
And my son lives in Thailand.
Oh my goodness, teaching compassion, empathy, you know, learning from different people that have had different experiences, comparing those experiences to ours.
What is lacking is enough time.
We have got to clean up and say goodbye.
Which is why Mrs. Goebel is making sure the time she does have with her students is spent with her personal mission in mind.
They grow up into adults, and that's what we need. That's what we're getting them to, and this is a foundational year to teach those skills. Might as well teach them while they're young, and then hopefully it will sustain them through life, and we'll grow some good humans out of it.
Hello, Grandma.
Congratulations, Jess. If you know a teacher who deserves to be recognized, you can nominate him or her over at channel3000.com. Just click on the Education tab, and there you should find the teacher selection. More local news now. Make-A-Wish Wisconsin is trying to make an Economowoc girl's dream come true. Ashlyn is 7 years old, living with end-stage renal disease. Her wish is to star in a viral music video. People can help by liking, commenting, and sharing the video with hashtag Ashlyn's Wish on social media. The music video premiered last night in Milwaukee. We have more information on how you can help make Ashlyn's dream come true online at channel3000.com. The Bucks start their long trek toward the NBA Finals today, hoping to get past the first round of the playoffs for the first time in almost 20 years. The team's coming off a loss to Oklahoma City to end the season, still with the best record in the entire league and a top seed in the Eastern Conference. Giannis Antetokounmpo has been out with some injury concerns toward the end of the season, but he is expected to start in the playoffs. The Bucks' opponent, the Detroit Pistons, were 41-41 this season and finished 8th in the conference. They clinched that spot with a win over the Knicks Wednesday night. This is a best-of-7 series to advance to the next round. Game 1 against the Pistons is at home in the Fiserv Forum. Tip-off is 6 p.m. tonight. Game 2 will also be played in Milwaukee on Wednesday starting at 7 p.m. The next 2 games will then be in Detroit. Then they'll go back and forth until one team wins 4. The winner of this series will face either the Pacers or the Celtics. Still ahead, a record number of robocalls are flooding our telephone lines. How lawmakers are trying to block those unwanted calls. And the scam warning going around in our area right now. Thanks for watching News 3 Now this morning.
We're watching the possibility of some light snow that's going to be moving into the area as we go through the morning and early afternoon. Here's that system overall across the Midwest, bringing some severe weather down south again. But as we zoom things in, you see the snow trying to inch closer towards the Wisconsin state line, just now starting to reach Kenosha. Of course, we'll be tracking that coming up in Maine weather. Maddie?
All right. Thank you, Chris. No one likes robocalls, and new numbers show we're getting more of them than ever before. As Natalie Brand reports, lawmakers on Capitol Hill are now trying to take action and pass a bill that would go after the unwanted callers.
Americans received so many robocalls last month, it amounted to almost 2,000 calls a second. A total 5.23 billion, nearly half of them scams, according to YouMail.
It's an annoyance, it's an invasion of privacy, it costs people money.
Margot Saunders of the National Consumer Law Center testified about the issue before lawmakers on Capitol Hill Thursday.
There are no blue robocalls or red robocalls. There are just irritating robocalls.
The card number you said?
Senator Cory Gardner of Colorado shared his own story of frustration, proving not even congressional offices are immune.
These criminals are taunting us because they think we won't act.
A bipartisan bill called the Traced Act would increase the penalty for robocalls to up to $10,000 per illegal call and would require phone companies to implement STIR/SHAKEN, a caller ID authentication system that verifies if a number is legitimate. The legislation also aims to boost the partnership between federal agencies and state attorneys general nationwide to pursue civil or even criminal enforcement.
The best way to prevent illegal robocalls is to stop them from ever being made. And the best way to ensure that is put the people that are making them behind bars.
For now, experts suggest using your caller ID to block specific types of calls or downloading apps that will do the work for you. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
This report comes amid another warning from the Federal Trade Commission of a nationwide phone scam raising concerns about Social Security numbers. Millions of people are receiving these calls. A caller claiming to be from the U.S. Social Security Administration told this man, Wayne Turdoff, that someone in El Paso, Texas was using his name and Social Security number to send thousands of dollars to Mexico and Colombia. In order to get rid of what the caller claimed to be a warrant out for his arrest, the man was tricked into buying $1,400 worth of Google Play cards at the store and reading the numbers off the back to the caller. This scam has already cost 76,000 people $19 million over the past year. Spring snow chances continue today, and there's more chances for rain in the week ahead. You're looking live over at the Capitol. Chris is back with your full work week forecast next on News 3 Now this morning. But first, if you have a little kid turning 3 soon, please let us know so we can show their picture on TV.
We are tracking another day of the same system across the country, bringing more active weather. This time it's going to be towards the Great Lakes, the Ohio Valley, and the western mid-Atlantic. In fact, that's where severe weather could be, but we are focusing on the snowy side of this and its potential impacts in Wisconsin, especially about the extreme southeastern little tier of the state, especially as we go through the morning and into the afternoon. Right now, the first flakes of snow are starting to cross into Kenosha County as we speak. That's going to be coming up right up the interstate there, and then eventually working its way a little bit farther towards the north. Right now, though, we are cloudy here in Madison. The temperature 33 with those winds out of the north and northeast at 13. We're going to watch those wind speeds gradually increase some throughout the day as well. 32 in Juneau right now. Waukesha at 34, Milwaukee and Kenosha both at 36 as we speak. Those temperatures are pretty marginal, but the upper air is just cold enough to support snow. Well, here's the wind coming out of the north and northeast, and we're going to watch these wind speeds actually begin to pick up some as we go through the afternoon. So expect a breezy day. Even if it's not snowing and you're just outside and it's cloudy and cold, it's going to be even colder with that wind, especially a cold north wind coming off the lake. Eventually, these winds will begin to relax a little bit as we head towards Monday, which of course is a welcome sign around here. The signs of calmer weather, but that snow should begin to move in, probably about 9 o'clock or so. This is 10:30 right now, and then eventually as we get you towards 2:30, here's when we could see some of the snow, at least from Madison and points eastward. Again, places like Mazomanie, Black Earth, Cross Plains, you may not see anything falling out of the sky today, but we'll watch that through the evening before things begin to work their way on out of here. Not a lot of snow. I think this model is just a little bit overdone, but it does a good job of showing where I think the best chance for some snow to accumulate on grassy surfaces will be. That's going to be from about Milwaukee to Waukesha down towards Janesville and over towards Kenosha. That's where 1 to 3 inches of snow will be possible, less than an inch anywhere farther west than that. But otherwise, the good news is once this cooler air gets on out of here, we are tracking some warmer temperatures as we move into the work week, along with some chances for showers and thunderstorms Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and early Friday. But next weekend looks fantastic.
Sun and 62 looks pretty good right now.
Yeah, sun and 62. I'm looking forward to next weekend, that's for sure.
All right, thanks, Chris. After much anticipation over the past week, the day has arrived and the river is ready. The city of Milwaukee has turned its river green ahead of tonight's playoff matchup. It's part of a weekend-long celebration for the city. Crews from the Milwaukee Department of Public Works and the DNR used 2 boats pouring a powder dye into the water, and then a 3rd boat agitated the water to help the dye mix in. The game against the Detroit Pistons is at 6 o'clock tonight at the Fiserv Forum. Stick with News 3 Now all day long, both on air and online. A reminder that Masters coverage begins immediately following this show, and there is no 5:30 news today. Amanda, Dana, and Melissa will see you here tonight at 10. But first, still this morning, helping other girls feel like princesses, for a night at least. It's prom season, how one girl is helping make the big dance extra special for others when News 3 Now this morning returns. Finally this morning, as girls everywhere start shopping for prom dresses, a young entrepreneur in Missouri is helping make that process easier. Kelsey Anderson shows us how she is making a difference.
I started my business when a friend told me she couldn't go to her dance because her parents couldn't afford a dress.
Leilani Smith started Leilani's Dream Dresses 3 years ago.
My first dress was this one. Yeah. And so now I have 150 dresses, but I started out with one dress and then it just took off from there.
She was just a 7th grader when she got the idea to help her community.
So I started buying dresses and renting them out to girls who want to look beautiful and save money.
She says each year her business has grown.
This is my best year so far. I feel like it's better since I'm in high school and I can help more high school girls.
Smith says she has sizes 0 through 22.
I try to get something everyone would like, so I have a wide range of styles and brands.
With all the money Smith makes, she could keep it for herself, but she wanted to do something more.
I love shopping, but I love helping people more.
So after buying more dresses for next year, she spends the rest of the money on items that will help more kids in her school.
And then with the rest of my proceeds, I donate to the Bulldog Pantry. And the Sykeston Bulldog Pantry is where kids can go get personal items, food, and clothing.
Smith tells me renting a dress from her is $100. And if it comes back damage-free, they get $30 back.
I feel like I'm helping a lot of girls, and I feel like they're more confident when they walk out knowing that I have a beautiful dress on and I'm beautiful on the inside and the outside. I think that's what matters.
Live Local Now, Kelsey Anderson, Heartland News.
A powerful and beautiful message there. Of course, here we are tracking the possibility of some light snow moving in later on today. I think most of that chance, again, will be well south and east of Madison. But don't be surprised if you see a couple flakes and or raindrops. But I do think the upper atmosphere this morning is cold enough to support snow. We get a break then on Monday, but then by Tuesday night and through Friday morning, we're going to enter into another unsettled pattern. That is going to throw some chances for showers and thunderstorms our way, especially Wednesday and Thursday. That's my weekend, so of course it would rain there.
It's mine too. That's not fair.
I know. Temperatures at least are going to be warm in the upper 50s and low 60s. Next weekend looks fantastic. Right around Easter Sunday, we're talking a nice little stretch of temperatures in the mid and perhaps even upper 60s with some sunshine. So
Easter looks beautiful.
Great weather there. And here's your pet walk. Zoe and Lodi looking cute as can be. Walk your pets today, folks.
All right. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tonight at 10.